Ocarina of Time is one of the best Zelda games of all time, and I'm not going to dispute that with him. And for me, it was Link to the Past was my first one, so it's like, so I still have a soft spot for that one, but I don't fault anyone for choosing Ocarina. But as I was saying right before we go on the air here, I'm working on the Ocarina stuff because I came up with this idea of doing like a Twitch stream style comic strip for a piece of the graphic novel I'm working on. I have actually submitted it to a publisher. But again, it's not quite a traditional graphic novel. It's an illustrated story. But the idea, like Twitch to me is almost like an old school comic script in some ways, right? So I looked at it and said, okay, well, what game can I homage? And I was like, why not Ocarina of Time? Because it's easy-ish to draw. It's easy-ish, right? Yeah. But also, I mean, it's one of everybody's favorite games. Everybody will kind of pop a little bit at that, and it's a small piece of the story. And since it's kind of my graphic novel, I can homage what I want, right? So if I want to do really cool Legend of Zelda stuff, why argue, right?
Exactly.
Right. So that all said, as we mentioned, this is Mel B. Mel is manager extraordinaire to the Great Mog Park, but also a very talented dude in his own right. And you guys have had a fantastic year, so from what we were talking a little bit off the air.
Yeah, we had we try to grow every year, and it's usually like around this time of the year, like we after we finish our major con runs during the summer, that we start evaluating what we did and how it's gone so far, and then we look at can we improve that? How can we improve that? And then what are we going to do to bring the business to growth in the following year, to the next level? Okay, so we've got some ideas already, and
it's always cool.
It's just a matter of us now getting the time to work on it now. We've done like a lot of cons every year, right? We do about like 11, about maybe 10 to 11 cons a year during non-COVID. Okay, so next year we're going to be doing a lot less because of the growth that we have now. One, we don't feel the need that we have to do as much, and two, we've got a steady flow of work coming in, and three, we want to start working on our own projects, and that's the next level that we want to bring our business to.
I understand almost every single aspect of that. It's funny. Next year is the year I go on the road a lot. This podcast is at 877 episodes. When I break 1,000, and I will break 1,000 probably around May next year, I'm going to be changing up the show a little bit. I'm going to be changing up how I do some things a little bit, but also, like for me, I have a personal goal. Like there's a bit of a personal aspect to it as well. I've met a lot of the amazing people through this podcast, and especially during the pandemic, there's been a lot of like distance by necessity, right? But the pandemic part of this is over, right? So now I'm thinking more in terms of, well, what's important to me? It'd be kind of cool to see people in person and do the show in person again, but do it in a very different way. And I had this idea where I could just literally travel like through Canada and the United States and meet some of you in person, right?
That's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I like that idea for a couple of reasons, because one, and I already gotten up some pretty cool confirmations of this idea so far. I said, yes, I'll do this. Like the idea would be, we meet up. I have this really crazy idea of combining ice cream and booze in some really fun ways, and just go again. Let's say I come to your neck of the woods. We go somewhere where you guys are comfortable with. Right. We eat ice cream and drink booze, or combine both. Why not? Right. And then we just shoot the breeze, but we do it in that environment instead of here. I don't hate Twitch, but I mean, it's one thing to do a conversation like this, but it's another when you're actually in person, right?
Right.
So I want to get that feeling back a little bit, but I also want to do it differently than I've done it before, and I think that
Right.
would be a really cool way to do it.
Yeah, that sounds actually really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if
So,
you came into our neck of the woods, we definitely would want to
oh, totally.
participate.
No, totally. I totally. I actually promise. The first place I'm going is Vancouver because I already kind of have some arrangements there. One of
Hmm.
my guests, I promised I would go on a chocolate hunt with.
Okay.
So I listen, man. I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of my word. If I say I'm going to do something with you, I'm going to do it. Right.
Hmm.
That's the idea.
Well
But
done.
the second thing is, um, but the second thing about that is, you have to, you're right. Again, I just the idea of meeting some of the people I've met. Like I just interviewed Marissa Mayer, right? And New York Times #1 best-selling author. I'm like, hey, would you want to do something like this? And she's like, yeah, it sounds cool. Let's do it. Okay. So I think it's a cool idea. It's a kind of way of the podcast. It's a natural fit for what I want to do with the podcast.
Hmm.
And it gets me one step closer to where I want to take the show. So that's that aspect of it. But the first thing I'm going to do is next year is my very first Kickstarter, which will I'm hoping
Whoa,
probably by February. I'm hoping.
that's not too far away
No, it's not.
to be planning a Kickstarter because
No.
we're almost in November already, so that would
Yep.
put that about 4 months away.
Yep.
Less than that, depending on like when you're planning to launch that in February.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna be looking at probably February. I'm catching up on some of the things I have promises I have to keep now. Again, I'm a big believer in keeping my promises, but once those are done, I've already quietly approached a couple of comic artists about doing for my first book, and I'm
Hmm.
like, "Would you want to do something this silly and fun?" And they're like, "Yeah, this sounds hilarious." One of
Hmm.
and a couple of friends, so again, people that have interviewed on the show, it's like I think they fit this particular book. So I'm going to be doing my very first Kickstarter. I'm hoping February. It might be March. It might end up going to March because you know how these things can go, right? But the book's done. Like the book's essentially done, except for it needs to be lettered, which does have its challenges in this particular case. But that's really it. It needs a lettering, and then I'm just researching costs for a couple things. But once that's done, like, and I've quietly gone to some of a one of your fellow conspirators, uh, Rob Matore. I sought his advice on a piece of this project.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of one of those where it's like this will be very cool, but I have potentially three Kickstarters in mind next year,
Okay.
right? And we'll see how that all works out. But I know what the first one's going to be. It's something I've always kind of like popped personally to do, and I think there's um I think people are going to dig what I come up with. I could be wrong,
Okay.
but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be tons of fun. So I got that stuff going off. I've submitted two comic book projects. One like it's the graphic novel to a publisher I've done already, where I'm working on right now. That may end again if it doesn't work out that way. I'll Kickstarter this one too. Maybe like I'm cool with it. Right, my first like illustrated graphic, whatever the heck you want to call this.
Sure.
That might right. I might do that too. I mean, it's possible if it doesn't go through, but I got it off to a publisher, someone I've worked with in the past, so we'll see how that goes. And I got another graphic novel series I pitched to another comic book company about 3 weeks ago. So
Nice.
yeah, so I got that stuff in. I technically broke into the comic book thing. I did a story for it. It hasn't been published yet,
Uh-huh.
and I got my first actual illustrated publishing credit this year. So
So once you have that, right, then you are, as long as you have something that's published with your name on it as a credit, you are considered a professional.
I am.
That will get you into some places like you could apply for San Diego for professional status
I
and
could.
free VIP pass to get in there.
Yep, and it's something I will look at doing. I'm going to be looking at. I don't know if I do major cons next year. I'm not, because again, with what I want to do with the podcast, I don't know if I hit major cons or not. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure.
You could.
Right? Yeah, I could. I'm not saying I haven't closed the door on it. It's just
Mhm.
figuring out the logistics to it.
Right.
That's gonna have to. I'm gonna have to think about it because I like, much like you guys. I'm not quite ready to do a dozen shows like next year, but I could see myself doing a lot of smaller things next year because I think those are fun too, right? So
Hmm.
we'll see. Like
Because you
man,
have the fan expo shows there in Canada,
yes,
and
yes,
they've got a good few of them. That's
I will
there,
be
so these are
doing
good to get to.
I will be doing my local one, Calgary.
Yeah.
So right, that but I might be doing it not just as a representative for me. One of my gigs, can't go too much into details about this. It involves a gaming like company.
Hmm.
It's like a side
Sure.
project for them.
Uh-huh.
So I might be there in that capacity. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
So if I am, great. But
Woohoo! Yeah.
right, I don't know yet. So it's kind of one of those. I will figure that out when and
Yeah.
if it all magically works out.
Nice.
Yeah. So I have grown and evolved, and I'm a professional and stuff, Mr. Mel.
There you
Who
go.
knew? Who knew?
Well done, sir.
Yeah. Well, you've done the professional thing. And you guys seem to be doing quite well with it. So
No, we're trying. We're constantly trying. You know,
yeah.
it all looks like what do you call it? It looks all good up front in what you see, but you don't see it as the struggle that we go through
Oh
to
yeah.
to get to like where we're at. You know.
Oh but would it make sense if I said to you I do understand? Like
Yeah.
does that I do, like I really really do. Um it's one, like I tried the I'm launching, like I've been doing a commercial business for videos and stuff like that. And I got to
Uh-huh.
tell you, like one of the biggest struggles for me is, especially up here, it's like I'm uncomfortable with this whole marketing thing. I know, but this is why you need to do it, because because especially in the fact, like I look at it like this, like we're gonna. I mean, the economy isn't going to be the best next year. I think most people have realized this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that books won't be sold. Quite the contrary. People are going to be looking for ways to escape into cool worlds and properties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, oh, I think I screwed this up, but that's okay. I live and learn, live and learn. But the thing is, right? You have to get yourself out there,
You
right?
do.
Because no matter what, whether it's a good time or a bad time, it's not always the best and most talented people, although don't get me wrong, talent's important. It's that willingness to go out there and put yourself out into the world and saying, here I am. Those are the people that tend to get the opportunities.
That is correct.
Yeah.
You can't stop that.
No.
And it's just like in COVID, during COVID, we had to figure out ways on, how are we going to get ourselves out there? And we found
Exactly.
ways. We weren't sure exactly where we were going because it happened so quickly, but who knew? We did 101 Tales, and that's how we met you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We were doing online cons and
Yeah.
able to connect to uh, a customer base that we didn't really tap before because we were so busy doing other things. And
Yeah.
and here you find ourselves that we have all this time. So sometimes, and that's a period of almost like a kind of like a recession in a way, the way how you look at it, because so many
Oh yeah.
people were put out of their jobs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still, you're going to try to find a way to grow your business and find a way to get the exposure that you need to carry you forward once this thing is all over.
Yep. Well, it's actually during the hard times you actually build your foundations, right? Because
Yeah.
if they can withstand hard times, they can withstand good times too, right?
Yes.
So that right, when things can no longer when things can't handle the bad rough times, that means it probably weren't designed well in good times. So I mean, this is actually the time where a lot of companies can really
Uh,
flourish if I totally messed this up, but that's okay. I can call this my first try, and I'm good with that. So, but no, it's one of those things where you have to be honest about what you're doing and what you're looking at and stuff like that, and you gotta be like, okay, how do I build a foundation that's going to sustain me no matter what. And that applies to creativity as much as it applies to any aspect of business out there. And one of the things I've learned is that one of the biggest secrets to that is advertising. You have to put yourself out there. That's no matter how you slice it, no matter how you slice it, like that's ultimately what's gonna happen there. Is if you're not out there, no one's gonna know that you exist, and no one knows you exist. No one's gonna invest in you or buy in you.
yeah,
So
that is very true, sir.
yeah. So my friend, what was your favorite con this year? What was the one you had the most fun at?
Uh, I think, like I was explaining to you earlier, um, it's not a big con, right, by any measure, but one con that we've done consistently that we've had a good time at was the Amazing Las Vegas Con, right? And it helps that we get along with the promoter,
Hmm.
and it also helps that there's a lot of independent publishers that are close to within the area that
Hmm.
we were able to work with. Jacob Stem with Fairy Metal,
Hmm.
um, Ron Zabala with Mount Olympus,
Yep.
and, Dustin Brunel with Ethereal
Yep.
Comics, who actually flew in and did that show. So we were able to work with those three publishers to have exclusives at the show.
Yeah.
And we were also fortunate enough that we were able to work out something with the promoter in trade for services that allowed us to afford to get two booths right now
Ah.
up in the front, and we set it up in a nice way to feature the three artists that we have,
Yeah.
Mog Park, Anfu, and Louis Bravo, where we had a gallery type setup where we could
Yes.
put our original art into frames and set it up really nicely. People could like walk in, take a really good look um, at the work, and get really up close and really appreciate it. Um, and then they could come out and talk to the artists and check out like what they have as well. And we
Well.
did like quite a few things there to make it like worth their while,
Yep.
and it worked out really well for us financially as well as for the for the attendees too. And so they had a good time. We had a good time. Um, everybody was busy.
Oh yeah.
Everybody was tired. At the end of every show, all I did was pretty much just eat and go to sleep. That's what most of us is. But like Aunt Vu, she's like the youngest in our group. She's going out with a bunch of her friends from Hawaii that were there,
Yep.
and just exploring on Las Vegas since that was her first time. So
Well,
she,
I got a real kick of watching On with you guys because of just like I was like, like it's almost like you had a little Padawan with you guys to just not only show her the ropes, but also I always get the feeling with you guys it's almost like she's a part of your extended family. So
Yeah.
maybe that is that I don't know that if that's the right impression I get there one way or the other, but but like it's also get the fun to see her and just get the truth like it's an opportunity for you to reconnect with somebody you guys have definitely taken under your wing as well because it's one thing it's from a distance but it's another thing when they're up close and personal. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You're right about that. Um, it's we've known her for quite a while, um, and so we just kind of like kept in touch. And
hmm
the 101 Tales was basically her ideal, and I came into and when she told me about it, and I told her, well, I'm in, and that's what she was hoping to hear, and then we just started it. Now she didn't. Her and Mom weren't really sure if we could reach the numbers that we had set, but I'm 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 a go getter. You
oh yeah
tell me what you want to do and what the numbers are, and I'm going to look at it and try to look at it realistically. And when I saw the numbers, to me they were very reachable. Right, their main goal was to try and get 101 um, storytellers.
oh yeah you get that
I didn't know where I was going to get them, but I said that's not a problem.
yeah I know
All I know is I'm just going to work the numbers. I'm going to ask, find out what projects out there, who's doing what looks interesting. Okay, that looks good. Let's find out if they're interested. And soon enough we got those numbers, and
yeah
worked out really well. We made a lot of friends, new friends that way.
yeah N-
Yeah, so
n-
it was great to do. We met Henri Compound. We met Chuck Pinnell, Meredith, and Nita,
yep
rest his soul, and just a bunch of people. So it was great to do, and that's coming up. We did that like what is that like 2020? So
towards the end of 2020 yeah
2020, was it 2020 or was it 2021? I forget. It's probably 2000.
uh
It's 20. It has to be 2020 because we were thinking about redoing it last year, which we didn't do. And they were
yeah
saying thinking about like doing it this year, but we got so freaking busy. Right? But we might do. I've been thinking about like doing a kind of like a catch up, and I'll just do a posting. I'll tag everybody that was involved in there and said, hey, let us know where you are now. It's been 2 years. What are you working on? What do you guys have out? Give us the catch up.
yeah actually that'd be a really cool concept like see what
Yeah.
people have been doing like
Hmm.
but no it's definitely been like I said 2020 was an opportunity as terrible as 2020 was, it was an opportunity to grow in new ways too.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest lessons I'd learned a lot from that year, but I think the biggest one is you can always adapt. You can always you can learn new things. So you're never too old for that,
Right.
right? So I was grateful. And also I gotta give a shout out to JD Estrada because JD Estrada is the reason I got into 101 Tales. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Cool
he's
guy
cool.
too.
Oh no, he's super
Yeah.
cool. He's on my list of people I would really want to meet next year.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've known him for geez, at least probably 6, 7 years online,
Uh-huh.
right? So we have like a legitimate friendship. We have a pretty legitimate one, and it's just cool. He'll come on my show. The last time he came on my show, we just talked sports for like an hour. I never thought I'd do that with him, but that's all we did. Like we just talked. Like, hey, what do you want to talk about? Let's talk sports. So we started boxing and started talking and that's when you have a good friend because when you can talk to people about anything, it's
Yeah.
not the inconsequential, quote unquote, inconsequential stuff as
Hmm.
much as it is the consequential stuff. That's when you got a friendship, right? So the first one here, I'll actually show you what I did. So my screw up is this is the first time I ever tried drawing a horse. in full,
Okay.
and you can definitely tell. Right?
You gotta keep that and frame it later on.
Well, no, absolutely, no, absolutely. It's one of those. That's not true. I gave my first notebook to my grandmother in Windsor. Here you go. Watch my first journey, and I gave it to her. Right. The next notebook I'm going to give to my grandmother in Detroit. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give her that one. It's like, yeah, spread it among the family. It's like, here, you can watch my growth. Right. So.
Fantastic.
Because that's the important stuff, right? You learn and you grow and you evolve,
yes.
Right? I'm gonna see if I can actually get this horse right this time. We're gonna see. I'm gonna try again because hey, if at first you don't succeed, try again, right? So, or that's what smart people say. I don't know. So, but yeah. So Vegas was your fave. So like I said, there's some things you talked about off the air a little bit that we're not going to go too deep into, but beyond those wonderful successes, was there anything big was there any big learning thing? Was there like milestone you guys achieved that you're like, yes, we did it?
Milestone wise is I think kind of like getting working within a group. You know, we met Louis Bravo earlier this year, and we just kind of like hit it off, and didn't think that we were gonna carry him and whatnot. But he came in, right. So it's always nice that you're able to like work with people that you like and that become like part of your family. And so it may not be like that big of a milestone, but for us it was. Um, but at the same time, we're more like friends, and then if we have the opportunity where we can um, work together, because we're not an official studio or anything by any means like that. I counsel, I can counsel all the artists, but I don't really control. I might manage a little bit, but they're their own managers. They get, I'm able to get some gigs for them, but most of the time they have to go get it themselves. I might direct them in, where they can go, or they come up with they get their own.
No, it makes sense.
More like helping each other out.
Yeah. No, it totally makes sense, and like I said, I also know this too. Just like you're gonna look out for them. Like you're gonna be, hey, that's cool. You want to work with them? What are you thinking about? And I'm not saying like getting everybody's business per se, but again, you're gonna make sure that anybody you're with is at least treated fairly. That I do know. Beyond that, you let them kind of make their own decisions about what they want to do and where they want to go because their goals also are their goals. They may not be quite your goals, and that's okay.
Yep.
Right? It's just but the point is I mean at least in the moment you guys have common goals and you can help each other. And it's always better when you have a group of people working together because it's more eyes, more ears, and also you can learn faster about some things from each other than you can by yourself.
Yes.
So what are you drawing tonight?
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can do this right.
Yeah. Okay, hold on a second here. I can put it up for everybody to hear. That's really cool.
That's what I'm trying to draw. Now I'm going to draw something like it, or as close to it as I can, that will kind of like resemble that.
Actually, one of
I
my
try to do is when I try to draw is I'm trying to capture I may not draw it exactly like that. And obviously, it's not going to look like that. But I
Yeah.
try to capture the same kind of feel that
Yeah.
it has. You know, and so far, I think I got the face,
It's good.
the kind of like somber face within that chaotic nest of snakes.
So Medusa is actually one of my favorite characters. In my Alice series, she's actually a
Hmm.
prominent character in it.
uh,
I think she's got such an interesting story,
yeah,
and I also think that she was robbed. Like I kind of think that
yeah.
um,
Everybody just knows the what the main story that people hear from mouth to mouth. But if
mhm.
you do the research and you get to learn like who she is and what she represents, yeah, she got robbed.
Yeah, she totally
Mhm.
did.
Yeah.
I decided so in my case, the reason why she's in my story though, I can't say it was for like the most noble of reasons. I
Hmm.
was at a bar one night. I met this really, really cute girl. She actually had a Gorgon tattoo on her arm. Like she
Oh,
had a really like right, and I being a guy, I made a move. She plays for the other team, which is totally fine. We're actually still friends to this day, actually, which is kind of
okay.
neat. Um, but I told her it's like I was working on a Lewis Carroll anthology, so I was asked to do a story for, it, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to say about Lewis Carroll. And I was looking at Medusa. It's like Medusa could fit in Wonderland. Just something just told me like she could. So I go, can I use your Gorgon as the basis for Medusa? So in my story, Medusa is not a Gorgon yet, at least at the start of the story, but she has a tattoo that can turn people into stone, right?
Okay.
So her my but yeah, and it was all because I met that girl at the bar. If I hadn't met her, and if I hadn't met the girl at the bar, I never would have made the connection of Alice to Pandora. It
Mm.
never would have happened. So I got a bit of a soft spot for Medusa for a couple different reasons. But yeah,
Nice.
so yeah. Without Medusa, there would be no Alice in my story at all. So there you go. But yeah, so you're trying to capture Miss Medusa. So I'm gonna ask this because I think one of like this is something I've learned slowly but surely, and it's probably one of the hardest lessons to learn. But
Okay.
I think this is more for people out there. Again, I said this off. I think I said this at the beginning. You guys are incredibly talented, but you're also very smart business people. Like you know what you're worth, right? Was there like for me, I had to realize that internally, like what that was worth. Was there like a moment for like that with you where you just realize that what I'm doing, I have to put whatever time I'm putting into it, I have to get something for it? And was there like a clicking, like a eureka moment with that?
Well, I can't say there was, and the reason for that is that I've been in business for myself for over 40 years now,
Mm-hmm.
taking on several businesses. It started out. I was when I got out of school. I was actually in IT, and I was in that for a while before I decided to get into my childhood hobby of comics. So I became kind of like a show dealer, just doing the shows and selling comics that way. And that began in the 80s, right? And then I eventually ended up getting a store and another store, and then I ended up running a production studio in the early 2000s, right? And it was at the end of that that I met Mog, and I was ready, kind of like, to leave the whole industry. But then Mog asked me, "Can you manage me?" And we started up a relationship, and here I got back into it again. And so it seems like by the time I met Mog, I had all this experience and connections that I could utilize for her. And we didn't start it off right away. There was other things that I had to take care of, and it wasn't a good time then because of the recession that we were in, and that the world was in. So we had to wait. But I started planting seeds, because eventually you're going to come out of it. So I
Yeah.
started planting seeds, and I started putting her art up on Deviant Art, and it got noticed by HBO, and that's how we were able to get to do the Game of Thrones thing. Okay? And after that, um, but I forget how long we're doing. Like I think it's about 7 years or so that we're doing working on Game of Thrones. But after that, I knew we had to transition into something else. So I started I started reconnecting with some of the people that I knew from the industry, and that kind of helped us along. I wasn't asking for a lot of help, but just for directions because I was out of touch with the industry and the market, and I needed to find out like how where things were going, and where they were going. And when I was doing that, I realized that wow, there were some big major changes
Oh
in
yeah.
the industry within that short period of time, and we're talking about less than 10 years.
So,
And I was kind of like taken aback, and I had to really um take a hard look at it. But so getting Mog into it wasn't uh, that hard, and there wasn't that moment of trying to figure out her worth and stuff because we had already done Game of Thrones, so I already knew what her worth was, um, and it was kind of big. The
yeah,
industry,
yeah, yes, it
yeah, the
is.
industry couldn't meet it though. Okay,
No,
so
no, no, no.
we had to take a big cut, but that was the direction that we wanted to go in, and we could have not gone in that direction and gotten um, better gigs. But after going through Game of Thrones and dealing with the big studios and all that, that was something that we didn't want to
Well,
go through again. We wanted to take something a little more where we could control the pace.
yeah.
And so, yeah, we didn't have that moment. We didn't have that moment.
Well, sometimes, and this is going to sound like a flip thing. It's not always just about the money either. It's not. It's about what you want to do, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, the studio paid you guys, but at the same time, like it's a lot of work to do a show. It is a
It is.
incredible amount of work to do a show, and you know, I don't know what maybe a final season would be like because on the final season a lot of things are kind of made.
Hmm.
But throughout that whole process, up and even the final season, I'm sure there are things I'm not thinking about, right? But throughout that whole process, it never stops for her, right? It wouldn't stop until it was like done. So that's taxing. That's 7 years of your life, or maybe longer, more like maybe 8 or 9 if you sit there and think about it, of getting things together, getting things moving forward. And yeah, it's like, and after you do that, you're like, do I want to go into another show like that? Probably not right away. It's like, you know what? Maybe not.
Yeah,
Maybe,
not
yeah,
right away. Who
yeah.
knows? We could go get back in there again.
Oh, sure.
But yeah. So and
Yeah.
it's funny is that a lot of people that we were working that we had to work with during that run of Game of Thrones that we were on, uh, they pretty much did the same thing.
Yeah.
They stepped out of the industry. I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
they totally got away from entertainment, and they're
Well,
working
at
on
least,
other things that just is a little more relaxing.
yeah, because that I mean, people don't like like there's a couple things about that. Like, there's big money in a show like that. Like, big money, which comes with big expectations. And right, that's and there's and I've seen it from the outside in. Like, artists can crack, because that's a lot. That's very demanding. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It can be incredibly demanding to do these things. And it takes a certain degree of stamina. But at the end, when it's like it's done, and you're like, oh, and I bet you it was even like this with Mog too. It was like, I can't believe I did all that. Because once you're not in that moment, in that machine for a minute, and you're unplugged, and you're able to like relax, it's like, holy shit, how much did I do? Right? Right? Because now it sinks in. You're not in the process anymore. Right? You're past it. Looking back, you're like, I did all that? Oh my God.
Yeah, we look at the work from time to time, and we're proud of it and stuff.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, it was nice, and we were fortunate that on the projects that we were on, that we did for Game of Thrones, Mog was able to do a good majority of it.
Yeah,
that was a nice little piece of credit that we could claim there.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I mean, again, and all that is, again, it's good for business, but it's also like, it's a feather in your cap too. I mean, you took an established property and you made it what a lot of people see and recognize, right? You made that happen. That's a testament to her. Honestly, it's like, congrats. So I did a better job, but I gotta figure out how to make things bend a little better. I did better. It's better. But I got to figure out how to make things bend a little bit.
Okay, and here's what I have so far. If you can see that.
There we go.
There you go.
I can see the again, Medusa's just really fun, right? She's just a really fun character. So it's totally a cool thing. Well, okay, so we touched briefly on your past, like, worth. So next year you're going to be working a lot. I mean, you just completed, or at least the campaign just completed on Snowpaw number 2.
Right.
So I'll be seeing that next year at some point. That was hard. I had to pick a cover. That was not easy at all. I went with Caitlin Smith's cover because I'm a fan of her too.
That's a good cover.
Oh no, it's a good cover, but also I'm a fan. So here's a true story. If I ever do a convention show with Caitlin Smith, because you've seen that scowl, right? That scowl is just amazing. I always joke with her that she's going to take my lunch money. So I actually have this idea. I always have this idea. So this is the idea I have, right? I have the idea of her actually giving me a shakedown at a comic convention. But but the thing is, she gets even more scally because what she's shaking down is my Canadian money, right? So just right, because it's like, because let's be honest, my dollar isn't worth a damn right now.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I wouldn't say that, because we all appreciate the support from everyone.
Oh, sure.
No matter, like what they have. I mean, everybody works hard for the money. We want to try and give them their worth and stuff. And,
absolutely.
For that hard-earned cash.
Yeah, I just wish my dollar would get me a little bit more than it does right now, because it could be able to do some more. It just doesn't, and I totally get it. But I thought it'd be a fun little joke. But yeah, so I got that. So congratulations. That's the Snowpaw number 1 is still my favorite book I've read this year. So it's still my favorite one. So, and that's a testament not just to Rob, but also to Mog as well. That is a really, really good story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're pretty happy with the work that we've done for Snowpaw. That's Mog's first sequential page interior art, and it's getting well received because of her interior art, with the amount of detail that she puts in there. it's not just to the character, but to the background. So you get a lot of information, which enhances the story, which is lacking in many of the books that come out today. Right? You'll see they're uh, to be able to keep up with the pace. They're just using flat colors or speed lines to move along. But if you if anybody hasn't checked out Snowpaw, check give that a chance and check out the artwork in there.
I I mentioned this to Rob. It's going to be interesting to see what it does to his Nightwolf series going forward, because that was, I think, for both Mog and Rob, it was also a level deep into maturity, because it's not just the art quality,
Yeah,
it's the storytelling. Right? This is like I don't know in everything she did on Game of Thrones, but I don't know if she had the opportunity to storyboard as much as she's able to like play things out in Snowpaw and try some things, right? But there's a lot of depth to that story in particular. It's got not, and again, not just Mog, Rob too. Even his script is a lot more. If you're comparing it to Nightwolf, Nightwolf's a fun old school 1980s comic. That's how I actually think about Nightwolf. Snowpaw is a little bit more sophisticated all the way around. Like it just is.
yeah,
So I'm going to be very curious when we get to like Nightwolf's 8 or 9, if that sophistication transfers over into Nightwolf, because it's almost like it gave him another tool, and
hmm
vice versa. It's also let Ma grow as well.
yeah. It's I think it's just part of Rob's growth as a
Yeah,
writer. You know,
yeah.
because if you check out, there's a lot of guys out there that are like writing fantasy, and you see the way how they develop, like R.A. Salvatore, who's been doing the Drizzt stories, right? If you check out his first Drizzt story, right, and you read that and you compare it to what he's writing now, there's a big difference.
Oh, huge.
Yeah, and same thing with and forgive me, I forgot his name, but the guy who wrote The Witcher, right? If
Oh,
you read,
I can't remember his last name. It's like Zalowski or
yes,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, something
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
like that,
No,
right?
it's Andre's. Like I can't remember his name.
Yes,
Like is it?
Andre or Andrew or something like that. Okay, but
Yeah.
anyway, if you read his first Witcher novel
Hmm.
and you read his more current ones, there is a major
Oh
difference
yeah.
in writing. Okay, and you see that with these guys, they're learning, right? And so is Rob. I mean, I look at even the way how he did the campaign for Snowpaw 1, compare that to Snowpaw 2, right? And there are some big
Hmm.
differences in there, some improvements that I see in there. Is there room for more improvement? Yeah, sure, there is. Uh,
Always.
but but there are some differences there, and I think that's going to help him in that campaign alone. Just want to mention that, like Mog's cover was the regular cover, right? But it took in over 250. So that was like a nice number that we're proud of. That just validates the work that Mog is doing in there. That he still got over 250 orders on her cover, right?
Yep.
And you get to see her interior work as well. So,
Yep. No, it was hard. I had to pick a cover. It's like I had to pick. I could only get one. It's like
yeah, you can
that was
only
like
get one.
that was my problem. It's like I can only get one. It's like I was looking at that. It was
Same
like,
here. Okay.
yeah. It's like,
Same here.
oh,
It's it's hard like working with these three artists, right? Because I've gotten I won't I can't say I'm not going to say exactly where yet, right? But I've got them to do covers for one issue for one publisher. So now, how do you decide? All three of them are on there.
that already happened once. It was that I remember when I was looking at. So this was my compromise. So I got into Spectrus and Sabine with Kurt Zauer. This is my compromise.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
there you go. Yeah, that's
right,
what's
that was
new.
that one. So I had Mog's cover, I had
Mhm.
On's cover, but I had all these back issues again. So this is what I did. This is what I did. This is how I did. How I settled this. I got all Mog's back issue covers. I
Okay.
got all of those, and I picked On's, like I
Yeah.
picked On's cover.
Yeah,
like you know as well as I do, I'm a big fan of On for a lot of different reasons, and
yeah.
it's just like, okay, I've satisfied both of them, but please don't make me pick again. And if you're gonna make me
Yeah.
pick again, I'm gonna be like,
So that it's good to hear that you got all those covers. Now, the only cover that she didn't do was for issue number one.
yes.
But I can tell you this: eventually, she is going to do a variant cover for issue number one, so that way you can have a complete Mog set cover for Spectrus and Sabanian. But it's going to be come out as some kind of special add-on or something. We haven't really worked out the details, but I'm giving you a
I
heads up on that.
so so here's the deal I'll make with you. When I do come see you on the road, when I do come see you guys in person,
Yeah,
I'll pick it up and I'll be like, here you go. I'll just wait
there you go.
because see then I can get two, and I don't feel like a terrible human being having to choose all the time. It's like, and I hate myself just a little bit right now, right? So,
Mm,
but I mean, no, I mean it's a kudos to it's kudos to her. I'm happy she's getting as much as she's getting done, and it seems like she's getting deeper and deeper into comics, which sounds like what she wants to do
yeah.
and what you guys want to do. So, without spoiling specific details, what are your goals in 2023?
Okay, I can barely hear you on that. Could you
Oh,
repeat
okay.
it?
Hold on a second here. Let's see. Boom. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so without going into too specific details, because obviously it's something I know you can't talk about in full. What are you guys' goals for 2023? Sounds like she's getting deeper into comic work, interiors, as well as still doing covers here and there. So,
Yeah, yeah. We're going to continue that. There's a couple more series that we're in the talks with, waiting for these guys to solidify their scripts that she'll probably be working on. But what we want to do is, we're looking for growth every year and to move ourselves up in the industry. So our goal next year is to put out our own book. That's
mm-hmm.
so we'll handle pretty much like everything on it. Uh, and we've done like we've had Morgan and I have had like stories that we've worked on that when we've kind of like tabled, and now we were like going through all those and trying to figure out, okay, which one should we work on. But then we got earlier this year we got this other idea. Actually, we had two other ideas uh, that came across, and we were trying to decide which one of those that we might develop into a series. And we kind of we had it actually narrowed down to three, but now we got it narrowed down to two. But there is one that we've talked more about than the others. So we've been laying down the groundwork for it, um, building out the world building, the characters, and all that to kind of like set up the story. Right? So hopefully we can get a lot of the work done before the year is over, and then start into the story in the first quarter, hopefully in January of next year. And so if we can do that, I think that will take us up another notch.
Very cool. That sounds awesome. Before we go, I just gotta ask because I realize you've been doing a lot. I don't know if you had time to check out some of the other things going on. Any on a just a on a. I guess I should ask. I'm going to ask before I ask. Do you still, because you're in comics, do you still take the time to read from the hobby, or or do you not have time for that so much anymore?
I don't have as much time as I like, but sometimes there's like a few things that'll like kind of like catch my eye out there, and I'll look into it. So one that I'm trying to catch up on is Charlie Stickney, independent publisher and writer, and he's also associated with Scout Comics. Puts out a book called White Ash, and
Okay.
it's doing well for a non, how should I say it, non-pinup sexy story. It's nothing like that at all. Um, and So I read the first, I think it's the first five issues, and there's like two more after that. I got really into it. Now, Charlie's had comes from has grown up with comics, collected comics, got into writing in college, and then ended up being a director after college. So now he's coming back to his love, and he's trying to develop a world with utilizing the comics media to tell his stories and this world that these his characters live in. And so, if you get the chance, you may want to check that out yourself.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, yeah, his
I
campaigns are doing really well. Um, I kind of feel like we'll probably be doing more with him as well because we really like what he's doing. And and the good thing is that he's local here in California, so it makes it easy for us. We love working with Rob and Phil in Pennsylvania. We love working with Kurt in Chicago, but it'd be nice to work with somebody that's kind of local in your backyard.
Well, yeah, because then you get also the option of actually working in the same space. Again, going back to something I
Mm,
said earlier, it's distance. Don't get me wrong. I love the fact that we're chatting right now. It's cool, but
yeah,
it would be a lot more fun again in person with
yeah,
probably like some kind of ice cream or food,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, right. And
yeah.
and we can just bullshit a little
Yeah,
bit more.
and that's what we do here a lot because I'll once in a while I'll invite people over, and I'll cook and we'll have a good time talking and eating. And a lot of times we'll meet somewhere out there. Usually it's gonna be like a Starbucks or some cafe where we can. They got like big tables and we can bust out our big drawing boards and just draw
Yeah.
and just hang out. And it's kind of fun when people like come up and goes, "Oh, you drew that?" So you get kind of get a build up a little fan base too while you're out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun when you jam with people up close and personal. There's nothing quite like it. And like I said, that's one of the reasons I am doing what I'm doing next year is because it's not just you guys. There's so many people I've met. I'd love to meet some of you guys just in person, even if just we just hang out for a little while. It'd be a lot of fun. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
We always like hanging out, and we do that quite a bit over here um, as the time affords.
oh sure,
Yeah, and we
yeah.
love meeting people, getting to know them as well. So yeah. So I think it's cool too when we do the concert. It's always like a reunion, seeing everybody
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
person. And when you start doing that, you'll get a kick out of it.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, we'll see how I go next year for big shows. I'm not sure. Like I said,
Mhm.
it's going to be a weird balancing act because again, I have my own personal obligations, but I'll
Yeah,
figure it out. Miss,
yeah,
Mr. Mel, I think we have an interview here. What do you think?
yes.
But before we go, okay, Snowpaw just concluded.
Mhm.
What would you like to promote?
Well, keep your eye out on Roxy the Vampire.
Okay,
It is a new series coming out from KG Comics. Kurt Zauer, who does Spectrus and Sabanian. Mog will start working on that project this coming Monday. If you want to catch her at a con, there are two cons that she will be appearing later this year. The first will be the Fan Expo San Francisco. That's during the Thanksgiving weekend. And then the weekend after that, she'll be at the LA Comic Con here in Los Angeles. And then you can check out Mog Park on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and ArtStation. And you can find her easily just by her name. You can also, if you want to message her for questions, she's willing to answer that regarding art. Yeah,
so Mog her personal page, or does she have a professional page on Facebook that you
That
want
that
to?
is it. You can go. You can find just find her on Mog Park. That's we kind of mix everything in there. Eventually, we're going to split it up, but right now that's the best
Yeah,
way.
I understand the headache. Oh, I'm just trying to get the proper email and stuff up there to grab her. I saw that. Hold on a second. There we go. I got it now. Hold on a second here. They gave me an award and stuff like that for doing this stuff kind of thing here. But this is for people that want. If people are here watching, they want to check it out. There it is. I swear I know what I'm doing most of the time. And then most of the time. So listen, and I say this with all the love and respect. I want to thank you, Mog, on especially because I wouldn't be on the journey I am without you guys. So I guess I've been congrats on everything you did accomplish in 2022. May 2023 kick all kinds of butt for you guys, all of you going into next year.
Thank you, sir.
And for everybody watching and listening, I do advertising services. I make videos, audios, words, and pictures for your projects, your brands, and yourselves. So you can definitely check out that information right. And that, ladies and see, almost trained professional right there. And that will do it for this week. I got 3 guests next week. I got a back-to-back one on Wednesday next week, so definitely take a look. But for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys next time. Boom.